Hello there once again. This is the Old Cow Report coming to you live from the beautiful downtown tire factory and everything else. And of course, coming to you live, from time to time we have glitches and problems, but that's live TV and goes all the way back to Milton Berle back in the 1950s and what have you. And I can't even see old Roy Rogers Hoff to tell whether we're on the air or not, but I guess we are. And eventually he'll probably let me know if we are or not. But until then, we're going to go ahead and presume that we're on the air. And, you know, as usual, I have with me my rusty, trusty sidekick, Fred the Truth Stafford. And Fred, we want to welcome you to the show again. Glad you could be here. And would you like to tell the audience what you've been doing lately? All right. Well, Fred's a man of few words. Well, Fred, we're glad you could be with us tonight. And we're happy to see you're in the pink of health. Glad to see you again. All right. Okay, well, you know, Roy's been with me now for 20, 25 years on the program, and eventually he tries to get the old phone number up there so that we can let people know what's going on, and they can call into the program because it is live, and since Fred has shrunk a little bit, we don't need the whole set there, so I'm going to move over here in the middle a little bit there, because why do we need all of it? I don't know. Well, now we're off on that side there, Roy. And of course, Roy will correct that here. He's got to come in here in a minute anyway to get a close-up on this stuff anyway. So, welcome to this edition of the Cow Report. It's a cold February, end of February 1997 here in beautiful downtown Eau Claire, and we're looking forward to having a nice early spring so we can start planting our gardens and everything else. And when spring comes, I'm sure some of you start thinking about going out and planting your tobacco fields to get your tobacco ready so that you can grow your tobacco and then harvest it and make it into cigars and cigarettes and chewing tobacco. And I know many, many thousands of you do that in this area. So, but anyway, until you can grow your next year's crop, this company, which is called, well, I don't know, that's which company it is. I think now they're getting afraid to tell who they are. They just want to sell the cigarettes without telling you who they are. Anyway, they send out nice big color brochures in the mail with a bunch of coupons so you can buy cartons of cigarettes. $4 off, $3 off, $3 off on Pall Malls, Territons, and Viceroys. And Brown and Williams Tobacco Company is who it is. But the name of the outfit that's or what they're calling themselves now is the Pleasure Preservation Society. And so the deal is now you can belong to the Pleasure Preservation Society when you smoke these cigarettes. So you should all run out and get yourself a couple cartons of these. Pleasure Preservation Society. When you find the best, never let it go. And there you have it there. Those are mailed out, thousands of those valuable coupons are mailed out to many, many people. All right, well, this day in history. Actually, we talk about February 25th because this day is almost already gone. There's only 3 hours left before it is the 25th. And that will be the 56th day of 1997. There are 309 days left in the year. And let's see some of the highlights of this date in history. In 1948, communists seized power in Czechoslovakia. Of course, that's all history now, and Czechoslovakia split into two different countries now. Czech Republic and the Slovakian Republic, I think it is. Let's see, in 1986, a very well-liked dictator over in the Philippines, liked by millions of people, fled the Philippines after 20 years of rule. in the wake of a tainted election. Ferdinand Marcos left the Philippines on this date in 1986, 11 years ago. And in 1990, Nicaraguans went to the polls in an election that resulted in an upset victory for opponents of the ruling Sandinistas. So there was a collapse of a communist country down in South America, Central America. And 5 years ago, President Bush won the South Dakota Republican primary. Okay. Well, now we have an all-points bulletin out for Fred, the true Stafford. If anyone sees him along the route between his house and here, call us up and let us know. Once again, he has lost his way and doesn't know where to find it. So we'll hope that somebody out there can find it for him. All right. Taxpayers Network Monthly. Educating America's Citizens and Stimulating Constructive Debate, issue number 54, February 1997. According to them, Taxpayers Network Monthly, which is published in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Mike Riley is the founder. We had him on this program not too long ago. He sends me his monthly newsletter. He says the tax rankings for Wisconsin versus the other 49 states. This is according to his calculations. Number one in highest tax level of 50 states. That's per the Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance. So we're number one, highest tax level of the 50 states compared, we're number one. We're number three in total taxes per $1,000 of personal income back in 1993. And in 1994, we were number three in income tax for married couples at $35,000 and 2 children. Typical family in Wisconsin is about 4 people. And we were number three in the nation back in 94. Back in 94, we were number 5 in major taxes for a family of 4, making $50,000 a year. That's from Money Magazine. And we're number 2 in the nation in the tax load on the 2-career family of 4 at $89,000 a year in 1996. So a family of 4 making $89,000 a year, we're number 2 taxed state in the nation. And so there you have it. And of course, the Taxpayers Network Incorporated's #1 educational project for 1997 will be privatizing Social Security. And if you'd like to get a hold of them, their phone number and fax number is 414-375-4190. And you can let them know what you think about that, all them taxes. Okay, Roy, have you heard anything from Fred yet? Has there been any reports on Fred Stafford? Has anybody seen Fred out there in the viewing audience? We're looking for Fred, the true Stafford. If you've seen him anywhere between his house and the Cow Report studios, would you please give us a call? Now, Roy's been kind enough to put the number on the screen there from time to time. Haven't you, Roy? Roy, you got the old number there. Hello?
Hey, how's it going there, Chuck? Say, let me turn this down here so we don't have a problem, okay?
Sure.
I haven't seen Fred, but there was a rumor that he stopped in at the Elbow Room. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, I know he's late. Anyway, a friend of mine, she was watching your program last week, and she says, gee, how come they call it the Cow Report? They don't talk about cows. You know, I tried to explain to her that, you know, that's just a name for the show and everything. And then the other day she brought it up again. I says, well, you know, it's just a name. She says, well, they do have a cow poster in the back. So I don't know if things worked out or not, but if I see Fred, I'll tell him to get up there. Okay, buddy? Thanks.
All right. Thanks for calling in there, and thanks for reminding us that this is a Cow Report. And, you know, I think I do have another picture of a cow there that we're going to prop up here and hopefully Roy can get a shot of that there sometime tonight. And hopefully Roy will come in here and adjust the cameras from time to time, Roy. Well, here comes Fred now. Put that six-pack down and get in here. Don't you know the show starts at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Fred. I heard rumors that you were down there at the Legion sipping on a tall one.
I was not.
I'll tell you one
I
thing.
was at the Legion Hall.
Leave that six-pack off the set. This is a family program.
I wasn't having any six-pack.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, Fred, the true Stafford, has entered the studio. He's already kicked over a few of the wires there and knocked a few things over, but that's what you get when you're down there at the Legion. Talking to the boys and playing bingo. All right, okay, well, get up on the set here, Fred. We're in the middle of a show here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As Fred stumbles up on the set, we'll go to this next bit of business there. Now, I know there's several of you have been wondering, have they caught the Mad Bomber or not? And of course, on the show 2 weeks ago, we set the trap, hoping that we would get him to respond and bring him and flush him out. And sure enough, we flushed what they're saying now could be the Mad Bomber. And of course, the way we did it was we accused him of being a left-wing radical. And that's what made him go crazy. And it flushed him out, and he started robbing local businesses at gunpoint. And what it looks like he had a thing about video stores, Fred.
I do.
And he seemed to hit a couple of them that were renting X-rated videos.
Is that right?
And he also, if this is the same guy that called in the bomb threats, which I don't know if it's actually the bomber or not, Fred.
You know.
But he could be, he could have two different voices, but some of his neighbors that listened to that voice on the leader line said that it doesn't sound like his voice.
Mm-hmm. What does it sound like?
I don't know, they said it didn't sound like his, and I've got an older newspaper here that gave a description of the bomber, and they kept saying that the guy, what do they say about him here, Freddie?
Mm-hmm.
The May description, let's see. I think they were saying that police are looking for a white male, 5'10" to 6 foot tall, weighing 170 to 180 pounds, excuse me, with thin facial features, clean shaven, and short, dark colored hair. Well, if anyone saw the front page picture there, and you can't see it too well because Roy isn't communicating with me today.
He isn't.
Anyway, in this picture here of the so-called Mad Bomber, he's got long hair. He's a little short guy, and it doesn't resemble the photograph that they're talking about. So either there's two people involved, Fred, or the Mad Bomber's still on the loose. Now, what do you think?
I think he's still on the loose.
Because this guy sure isn't 180 pounds and short hair.
Yeah.
And the neighbor said his voice doesn't sound right. But so from time to time, the police do things like that, Freddie. I told you to put that six-pack down and sit down. Let's get on the show here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Get a couple of beers in that guy, and you can't even get down here on time.
I didn't have any beer at all.
Yeah. All right, Fred. So you think they don't have the Mad Bomber?
No.
Well, who do you think they got? One of his partners or what?
No, I don't think he's partner.
Well, Roy, are you still working there? Can you get a double shot so people can see Fred? There you are. I don't know. Roy's had a...
What I got in the
Oh, yeah.
mail.
Okay. Well, while we're getting the set adjusted here, we're 15 minutes into the show, and finally we're getting things settled here and back to normal. And while we're waiting for Fred to settle down and get ready, we'll go to the next call. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, where did you get that head with the Sam glasses? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which one? This one or this one?
That one, right there.
This one?
With the six
Yeah,
This one?
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, my brother made that.
Oh,
It's a raccoon hat.
that's right. That's,
Yeah, it's a real raccoon. See?
mm-hmm.
And by the way, we forgot to. Now that Fred's here, we can call. See, in any kind of meeting like this, you have to have at least 2 members to call a meeting to order.
There you go.
So now we can call a loyal order of the raccoons into business. Fred, into order. Is there any new business?
Absolutely. All the business we got is new.
All right, well, the loyal order of the raccoons is now in session.
Yes.
And, you know, Fred, I was reading a paper the other day, the article here the other day, and it's telling about Don McIlvaine. You've heard of him, haven't you?
Yes.
What do you know about him?
Well, he's a pretty good man.
Well, he was giving some examples of some of the crackdowns the environmentalists are doing on some of our basic equipment and things we use to live to live our lives, and things like wood stoves and outboard motors and lawnmowers and older vehicles. And he was giving some examples about how the EPA is cracking down on some of this stuff. Well, he says about outboard motors, the EPA passed much stricter regulations for outboard motor manufacturers this past summer. The new mandates will increase the cost of a fishing boat motor by 20 to 25%. Since most people don't own fishing boats, this will go relatively unnoticed. What about the millions of outboard motors now in use? Will they be banned by EPA bureaucrats? Well, up in Wisconsin, an outboard motor is almost a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fishermen and women up here that rely on outboard motors. And the other thing they did, Fred, was with lawnmowers. The EPA has been nearly apoplectic in their desire to heap more regulations on the use and design of lawnmowers. The use of an electric mowers is limited to small yards, so those who have to use gas-powered mowers could be looking at a steep price increase or a hidden government tax. Once again, there are no guarantees that owners of the current 2-stroke gasoline lawnmowers will be allowed to use their machines in the future. Some EPA officials also want to go after backyard barbecue grills.
Yeah.
Of course, the mighty elitists and power-hungry people that control this country, I'm sure they'll still have their big barbecue pits in their lawnmowers.
Yeah.
So, Fred, now you're here and you're settled. What do you got to say for yourself?
Well, I think it's getting cold outside.
Yeah.
I had a little dirt on my windshield from cars splashing up on it, and I got into the house when I was coming down here, and I got a paper towel, and I wet it, and I went out to clean that off, and it froze on the windshield.
Paper towel did?
Well, the paper towel that's what happened. The water was on a paper towel.
Huh. Yeah, well, those things will happen from time to time, Fred.
I see where
It's just part of living up here in Wisconsin.
fans welcome Pat Buchanan back to Crossfire, and this column is in the paper again.
He's back on Crossfire, huh?
Yes.
Well, I don't get that channel, so I can't help you there. Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, man, I just want to talk to you about the legalization of marijuana. Did you know? Because you seem like a really precious guy, and I want to know what you're talking about with that issue.
About legalizing marijuana?
Yeah.
What do you want to do that for?
Well, why not? It could help a lot of people and stuff, and I just want to know what your views are on it.
Help a lot of people do what?
Get better and feel good instead of laying around and dying from all this medication that the doctors are pumping into them.
So you want everyone to get high on marijuana and they'll
I
feel...
didn't say get high, man. I said use it for medical usage,
Well, it's kind of hard to separate the two because you get high.
Not all the time, you don't have to.
You don't. What do you?
Not all about getting high. That's what all you older people think, you know? Like, all of us kids are just out there to get high. And, like, we care about the issues too, man.
So you use it to medicate yourself, not to get high?
Well, not me. I didn't say me, you know? But, like, other people, like older people who are dying from cancer and stuff, they can use it. And people just don't realize that. All they think about is, like, all the bad people who use it, you know?
Well, I think it was legal up into the 1930s.
Yeah, and people were supposed to grow it. They got jailed for not growing it. So what happened in between those years? Why all of a sudden is it bad now?
Well, Fred, you're getting up in years. You want to smoke marijuana, so you...
No, sir, I don't want to smoke it.
Yeah, you do.
I don't.
I see you trembling all the time on TV and stuff, you know.
I could tremble from other reasons. Yes.
Well, Fred, you're from New York City. That's probably one of the first places that marijuana kind of broke out and got into the general public. It was kind of limited to the ghetto areas in the major cities. And
it's not just the ghetto areas, like lawyers and judges and everybody.
I'm talking about back many years ago.
Oh,
Fred,
I know.
Fred, where did you first come in contact with marijuana?
Oh, I would say in the 50s, a girl asked our county commander if he had I forget what called it. He had a smoke. She had a name for it.
Yeah.
And then she said he didn't have one, and well, she could give me $1 to get one. That's the first time I ever heard of this stuff.
Huh. Well, I know there one time it was considered illegal, and then in the 1930s, I think there was some kind of tax stamp or something put on it, but anyway, then it was made illegal, and people, you probably remember Cab Calloway, don't you?
Yes.
He sang a song called Reefer Madness, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think he just died a couple of years ago. He was, what, about 100, 150, somewhere in there?
I know he went to the school, high school that I was going to, Heron High School.
What do you mean? You went to school with him, or?
No, he was older than I, and he came in and played with his band for our you know, the assembly.
When you were in high school?
Yes.
Well, he must have just been...
We liked his music. we applauded him.
Well, he must have only been in the 20s then. He must have only been in his 20s.
He must have been more than 20, I think.
Early 20s, maybe. Okay, Fred, well...
I was in the 30s.
Yeah, well, he just died in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was 80-something when he died. All right, well, hopefully Roy's got everything straight now. We're in our new studio here, Fred, and if anyone out there would like to come down and take a tour of the studio and see Fred's rubber trees up on top of the old tire factory, just come on down. Fred's here from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday for tours.
I'm not here at all, period.
Except from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Not here at all.
And how long does a tour take, Fred?
I don't know because I don't take people on tours.
And there you have it. All right, now, hey, did you say there was another caller, Roy?
No.
Hello, go ahead there.
Yeah, I really like your show. And, hey, could I borrow that hat for Halloween?
Which one, Fred's?
No, yours. Your raccoon hat.
I don't know. It's actually not many people know that that raccoon's still alive.
That's like an awesome hat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that raccoon is asleep right now.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for continuing to view it. How long you been watching the show now?
I've been watching it quite a while.
20, 25 years?
No, I'm only like 15.
There you have it, Fred. Another satisfied customer, been watching the show for 20, 25 years.
No.
We like those customers like that keep coming back for more viewing samples. All right there, Roy. Are you going to get a close-up tonight or not?
Uh-huh.
Fred, we were talking the other night about what happened on this date in history. And since you're here now, I can ask you, what happened on this date in history?
What date?
This date, right now.
The 24th?
Yeah, give or take a day or two.
I know on the 20th was it Washington's birthday.
20th was Washington's birthday, okay. All right. Well, that's close enough, Fred. Well, anyway, today's birthdays. Country singer Ralph Stanley, never heard of him. Have you?
I never heard of him. No,
Musician Tommy Newsom.
never heard of him.
Actor Tom Courtenay.
Never heard of him.
CBS newsman Bob Schieffer.
I
Actress
think I
Diane,
heard of him.
actress Diane Baker.
Diane Baker.
And
Sounds familiar.
some guy from an old group from many, many years ago named George Harrison. 54 years old.
Yeah?
Remember him?
No.
George Harrison. Wonder if anyone out there remembers George Harrison. From many, many years ago. Talk show host Sally Jesse Raphael,
Yeah.
54.
Yeah, she had a birthday too.
And another,
I heard that today.
yeah, okay. Here's today's thought, Fred. If people behaved in the way nations do, they would all be put in straitjackets. That was from Tennessee Williams. Born 1911, died 1993. What do you think about that, Fred?
Yeah.
Okay, I think there Roy's got his close-up now. Roy, can you get in on that now? Probably ain't going to be able to see it. But anyway, this is a chart I just got off the internet, Fred. And you and I were talking about this last night. And for the Bible buffs out there that read the book of Revelation, it talks about the mark of the beast. And it's in Revelation 13, verse 17 through 18. It says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. This guy on the internet, Fred, he took a numerical system that's used English letters, Greek letters, Hebrew letters, and their numerical value. And he plugged some names into it because it says, count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. In other words, 666. That you've been hearing a lot about in the last 10, 15 years. Anyway, he ran the name Prince Charles of Wales
Yeah.
through his number system here. And he added up, in total in English, Greek, or Hebrew is 666 for Prince Charles of Wales, who's going to be the next King of England. So according to this guy's studies, he says that the number, he says the beast is 666 and his name is Prince Charles of Wales. And in Revelation 17, well, anyway, his actual title will be Charles VIII when he becomes King of England, or King of Britain. And it also had a lineage where it showed him coming down from King David from Israel.
Yes.
And the lineage comes right down to King Charles, or Prince Charles of Wales. He's in that lineage. From David in the Bible to Prince Charles, he's in the same lineage. But anyway, this guy is saying that he could first take over the old Roman Empire and become the new leader of the European Union and in Europe. Of course, that's been forming for the last several years and forming into quite a nation. And now they got what they call a channel. It's a tunnel beneath the English Channel between France and England that's united the English islands with the European mainland. So basically now it's one nation there. the Europe, Western Europe and England has become one nation. They call it the EU, and biblical scholars say that old European Roman Empire is coming back into being again, and they're going to need a leader. Well, they say it's either one of two people. It's either going to be Prince Charles, the King of England, or King Juan Carlos of Spain. And I've heard descriptions that it could possibly be both, or I mean one or the other, but this is the first I've seen where Prince Charles of Wales comes up with the number 666. So that's interesting, Freddie boy. What do you think about that before we take another call?
Well, I don't know what to think about it, to be very truthful with you. I'm surprised to see him linked with 666.
Yeah, I wonder if he knows that, Fred. Of course, he's a baby boomer. He's in his late 40s, kind of about the same age as maybe a year younger than President Clinton. But Prince Charles of Wales, Fred, he's going to be Charles VIII, and he probably fairly soon will become the King of England. I think that's the way he got rid of Princess Diane. He didn't want to have her on the throne with him, because they've had squabbles for years there. You remember her, don't you? Princess Di?
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering, I tuned in and I noticed you were talking about marijuana. I was just wondering, do either one of you two drink alcohol on a regular basis?
No, I don't drink. I think Fred
At all?
Fred nips. Do you drink anything, Fred?
Once in a while, I have a little something.
Do you drink coffee ever?
Coffee?
Yeah.
I drink decaf.
Okay, how about yourself there with the coon hat?
Who, Fred?
Oh, yeah, you.
Oh. Yeah, I drink coffee, yeah.
Okay, I just wonder, how can people say that marijuana is bad and illegal? Or who makes these rules? Why can they say alcohol is okay? Coffee's okay. They're both drugs. Coffee contains caffeine, which is a drug which makes you feel different than you normally do. Now, how come that's okay, yet marijuana is illegal?
Well, evidently the people that were in power back in the 30s changed it and made it illegal.
Okay, have you ever tried marijuana?
Fred, have you ever tried marijuana?
No way.
How can you judge it then?
Well, right now it's illegal
Right.
in this state, and until it's made legal, unfortunately,
Just because it's illegal is bad, right?
well, it's illegal, and it's going to cause a lot of problems if you get arrested for it. So,
True. Same thing if you get arrested for drunk driving.
so what you need to do is, if you want to change the laws, you got to write letters and lobby your.
I'm not trying to change laws. I'm trying to get or understand why you're so negative against marijuana.
What have we even said about marijuana tonight?
I want to hear your viewpoint on it.
So you're,
Are you saying that you think it should be legalized?
no, I didn't say that. I think you're saying that.
Well, no, I'm curious as to your viewpoint on it.
Well, Fred, that guy wants to go in circles. First, he accuses me of talking about it. We've had 2 calls on marijuana. They're the ones that are bringing it up.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a show here on the Mad Bomber.
Yeah.
Now, does anyone out there know this guy? And if they do, does his voice sound like the voice on that leader line or not? If it doesn't, what is the local police up to? Are they trying to lure his partner out into the open? Or is there 2 Mad Bombers?
I don't think he has a partner.
Or is there 2 armed robbers? Because I think one of those armed robbers a few weeks ago was supposed to be about 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
This guy here is nowhere near that tall, and he's got long hair. And they said the Mad Bomber's got short, neat hair, about close to 6 foot tall, and weighs 170, 180 pounds. Well, this guy looks like he might weigh 130, 40 pounds soaking wet, Fred.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? You think this is linked in with the school referendum, Fred? They're just trying to scare people into voting in a school referendum to help?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just checking. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say it's nice to see you two again. And the second thing I want to say is, with that last caller,
Yeah.
With the little problem with the alcohol and the marijuana and such?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason is that, okay, the alcohol is, you get a high off of it and it's altering. It's either visually altering or mood altering or whatever. And the coffee, it relaxes people, and it doesn't cause impairment, like visually impairments. So like when you're driving, you don't drive drunk and such?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
You do?
yeah.
Okay. And with marijuana, that's mood altering. It alters your mood.
That's why when they stop somebody for drunken driving, sometimes they'll also test them for marijuana or other drugs in their body, because they might not show the effects of being drunk, but they're driving erratically. So in some cases they think they might be on marijuana.
That's correct.
And there are various strengths to marijuana. There's some that you can barely get a buzz off. They call it ditchweed. And then there's some that's really potent from South America, and that stuff. I personally knew a girl that ended up in the hospital. This stuff was so strong, Fred. And
I personally knew a person who got high and then committed suicide.
And of course, if it gets laced with with things like if it gets laced with things like angel dust or something like that, you can really be in trouble. You know it, Fred?
You can. Yeah, I know where a man smoked angel dust, and he went he was out on the street nude, trying to slice people up with a butcher knife.
He's nude.
Yeah, didn't have any clothes on. And when they got a hold of him, it took several people to arrest him.
Huh. Well, Fred, you heard the stories about the recent cloning, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, as you can see now, we've been doing some cloning here on the set because people were complaining there's not enough cows on the show. So now we're doing some cloning here.
Yeah.
See, you can take one cow and make it into two. Just that simple.
Good camera.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank you for tuning in there tonight, and we appreciate your call. We're glad to see that we have many, many viewers, Fred, and we're happy for that. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Fred, we have a floating cup on the set. Of course, give me that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, what's up?
Not much.
What's with that stuff on that effects?
On the where?
The special effects. You hear Steven Spielberg?
Where at?
So do you
Okay.
smoke marijuana then, or?
There, now I feel better.
Hey, what's up, Fred?
What?
How'd you do that?
Okay. All right, what's your question tonight? How long you been watching the show, by the way?
So say 35 years?
Okay, well, glad to hear it. You've been watching it longer than Fred has.
Yeah, 35 years. We weren't on the air 35 years ago.
When did we come on anyway, Fred? 65?
Years old.
65, 66? Somewhere
I
in there?
don't know. I don't think so.
All right.
I wasn't here then.
Okay, well, Fred, on this date in 1991, during the Persian Gulf War, 28 Americans were killed when an Iraqi Scud missile hit a U.S. barracks in Duran, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It was 6 years ago tomorrow. Seems like we've left a lot of dead bodies over there in the Mideast, you know it?
And Congress gives abortion providers a fat payday. And on December 13th, 44 House Republicans joined 175 Democrats to support a Clinton-backed resolution seeking an early release of the so-called family planning fund, adding $385 million to $420 million already allotted for international population control programs.
Well, what's that mean in street language, Fred?
Well, Congress, those Republicans voted with the Democrats to pass the Clinton bill. And unfortunately, it isn't a good bill.
Well, Fred, you remember on this show, what, 15, 20 years ago, when they first started having the rumors about RU-486 birth control pill?
Yeah.
Well, in the World magazine, February 22nd, it says, do-it-yourself non-surgical abortions are one step closer to reality. The American group holding the rights to sell the abortion-inducing drug, RU-486, cleared a legal hurdle February 12th, settling a lawsuit against the man chosen last year to set up a distribution network for the drug. After selling the RU-486 distribution rights to California businessman Joseph Pike, the Population Council discovered Mr. Pike had been less than honest about his background. He's a disbarred lawyer who has a criminal conviction for forgery. The council sued for fraud. Now that the suit is settled, Mr. Pike agreed to take himself out of the distribution picture and reduce his financial stake in the RU-486 pill. The drug is all but cleared for takeoff. Food and Drug Administration, which last year deemed the baby-expelling pill safe and effective, still must okay the council's plan for manufacturing and marketing. Target date for full-scale release late this year. So as we said on this show many, many years ago, every bathroom could become a potential abortion clinic. And that day has now just about come upon us. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. There you have it, Fred. That's our European neighbors over there. I wish they'd speak English. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Okay, Fred, now you were a survivor of
World War II?
World War II, and you were in the Battle of the New York Harbor, weren't you?
Yeah, the battle in Brooklyn, I was in there too.
Well, it's glad you made it out in one piece.
And the Battle of Washington.
I was glad
Philadelphia.
Glad you see you made it. Now, you used to be...
Those are not in that war, though.
You were in the Coast Guard, right?
Yes.
My dad was in the Navy, and of course they're both on the water, for those of you who don't know much about the Navy or the Coast Guard. All right, caller. Well, Roy, you got to get a live one on there. We can't keep taking these hunyaks on there. All right, Fred. School plans top $45 million, but state would pay 2/3 of construction costs.
Where does the state get the money?
They get it out of your other pocket.
Oh. In other words, we be paying it to the state.
If you own property in this area, you're a sitting duck for every government agency and every government authority, county board, city council, a school board, Chippewa Valley Technical College, a university, and the other taxing agencies all up and down the line. You're a sitting duck. You're the biggest sucker that ever came on the face of the earth when you moved to this area and bought property. You're a big, stupid sucker. You know what your name is? The taxpayer. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
All right, how are you?
I'm okay.
Great.
I'm just calling to make a comment about all those little dopeheads I think that's been calling your house or getting into when they get into all that kind of stuff. You know, marijuana, drugs, whatever. You know, I don't even touch alcohol anymore.
Did you used to do any drugs?
Huh?
Did you ever do any drugs?
Oh yeah, I probably did more than they ever dreamed of. But I don't do that stuff no more. You know?
How did it affect you? Or what was your experience?
Reality.
Pardon?
Took me out of reality.
So they're just kind of recreational use of marijuana. They don't really know what they're getting into, huh?
No, not really.
Well, there is a beginning and an end to all those drugs and everything else out there. And
Yeah, what goes around comes around.
with alcohol, you know, people, they started out drinking beers, and before they know it, they're in the gutter. And so there's always a beginning and the end. And of course, it all seems to be fun and games when you first start anything like that, but it ends up being a pretty rough ride. And you know, the heroin addict doesn't start out wanting to be a heroin addict. He just starts. He just starts out taking a little sniff here and there, and before he knows, he's mainlining it into his arm, and he's got a $200-300 a day habit.
You know, if not more.
Same with
cocaine and all that other stuff.
Same with the crack cocaine addict. He didn't start out being a crack cocaine addict, smoking a pipe every few minutes. He started out just sniffing a few lines at a party on a weekend. And before.
Exactly.
And many people have lost their life savings and their friends and family and some of their loved ones, and lost their own dignity and everything else from getting involved with or getting over involved with these drugs, and it's playing with fire, isn't it, Fred?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, one more comment on that Bible 666 thing.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Nobody really knows. You know, I guess if you're watching whatever's going on or whatever, as far as, you know, the world goes, you're going to be able to tell. You know, you don't know if it's Prince Charles or anything, but they are finding out that a lot of the things in the Bible and stuff are, they take like, if they start at a verse like at one letter and they count 12 and then they count 12 again and then they count 12 again, they get a word.
Huh.
And so, and they did that with the Quran too. They found out that a lot of how they wrote was coded. And if you study Bible history, you'll find that a lot of even some of your shorter books took a long time to write. So you often wonder why they took so long, because they're so short. You know, the books are. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe the history there is that they had to write so they could get the letters fit in the right place or something. But that's what they're finding out now. So there's a few books out there on the market on that. You know, if you're curious one day, go dig one up.
Okay, well, we appreciate your input, and thanks a lot. You have a nice evening.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Well, Fred, you know, the Bible says nobody knows the time or the hour, the day or the hour when Jesus comes back for his second coming. Of course, but we can figure out that it's getting close. Because we're almost to the end of the year. We're almost to the year 2000.
Right.
And that's a big number in Bible history and prophecy. The year 2000 has a lot of significance. And some people say that the beginning of 1997 was actually the beginning of the year 2000 because of the changes in the calendar in the last 2,000 years. So, and actually in reality, Jesus was born 3 or 4 BC. So actually, if he was born in 4 BC, then actually this is the year 2000 or 2001 already. So it's getting shorter than you think, Fred.
Yes.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, this is the first time I've ever watched your show, and I was wondering who you think you represent more, David Letterman and Paul Schaefer, or Dumb and Dumber?
Fred, I'll let you answer that one.
I don't think you represent either one of them.
Well, I think Fred should wake up over there. He can't even stay awake. He's been yawning through the whole show.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of... That's
Fred,
part...
you gotta get your act together. You come in 15 minutes late, and then you can't even stay awake.
Yeah, but that's just part of show business. Fred's been in show business now for what, 30, 35 years, Fred?
I was wondering if I could see a close-up of Fred's hat, because I've been wondering what it says all night.
It says go, Pack, go.
Well, go Pack, go. And I was also wondering about this marijuana thing.
What about it?
Is this show normally about marijuana, or?
No.
No, we get people calling up. We have thousands and thousands of high school, junior high, and college students that watch the program, and of course, that seems to be where the marijuana culture is established now. And of course, there's some of the old timers in their 40s and 50s that are smoking it too. But see, the whole swing now to get it legalized is to get it legalized on medicinal grounds.
You know, Fred's falling asleep while you're talking.
No, he's not.
He's not listening to a thing you're saying.
Fred, are you falling asleep?
No.
All right.
He just zones you out. He's like, I don't care what this guy's talking about. What the hell did I get myself into coming on this show?
So how long you been watching the show now, anyway?
This is my first time, and I just can't believe Fred. He doesn't care about anything you say. He just, every time you start talking, he starts reading his paper.
Well, I'm reading something that I want to talk about if he gets...
Fred, what do you got there in your journal?
I want to see Fred get up and do a little song and dance or something.
I don't dance.
I'll tell you, Fred does have a good collection of music, though, that goes back into, what, the 1930s?
Well,
Big band music,
maybe,
Mo?
yeah, maybe.
Fred, do something a little exciting for us.
Yes.
Okay, Fred, what do you got there for the young lady? By the way, are you in school or...
Yes, I'm a senior at UWEC.
Well, how come you've been at university all these years and this is the first time you've seen the show?
Well, nobody ever bothered to tell me that there was such a great show on.
Well, we're glad to hear that.
And I just turned it on and I haven't stopped laughing for an hour.
So what are you going to do now if you're a senior? How are you going to watch the show? Are you going to stay in town and work or what?
No, I'm trying to move out of Eau Claire. I've had enough.
What are you majoring in?
I turned the show on and I'm like, that's it. I gotta get out of here.
What are you majoring in anyway?
Elementary ed.
Elementary ed?
Elementary ed.
Well, that's a good subject. I'll tell you. With the swing towards education, and Tommy Thompson's pushing education and Clinton's pushing education, it's a good field to get into for anybody out there that's in high school, junior high, or in college. Change your majors and get into ed. They're begging for teachers out there. The pay is great.
The pay's not great.
The benefits are great. You only have to work 9 months out of the year, 9.5 months. Get plenty of vacation time.
And along those lines, I was wondering how much you make to do this show.
Thousands and thousands of pennies.
And one more thing, along the lines of marijuana, are you aware that the guy who does your special effects is smoking a lot of marijuana?
He is. Well, you know, I got an email the other day. They accused him of something else, but not smoking marijuana.
Pretty convinced that the guy is a definite user of marijuana. He's hallucinating right now if you would just look at the camera.
Well, I'll tell you, we have a little cloning project going on here, and we're cloning our own.
That's pretty
We're
impressive.
cloning our own cows right here on the show. And of course, you know Common, don't you? This is Common. Common Man. He's been gracious enough to loan his head to the program.
So would you consider this your full-time place of employment, or?
Yes, we're hoping one of these days to get picked up by ABC or NBC or one of those.
Well, I really think David Letterman should watch out, because he's got a competitor out there that...
Well, you know, Dave and I were both born in Indiana, if that's got anything to do with it.
That might explain some things. Anyways, well, I better let you back to your show, but I just want to see Fred do something exciting before the end of the show, because...
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's have him get up there and... Are you on drugs by any chance?
No.
Are you sure? I'm talking to the guy with the coon hat. He's doing some funky things.
Would you like to join the Loyal Order of the Raccoons?
The what?
The Loyal Order of the Raccoons.
So, can I get some of that weed you're smoking?
Well, I don't know. Fred came in late. You might want to ask him about that. Fred, she wants to know about some weed.
I don't know anything about a weed.
Somebody did something to your head. I don't know what it is.
Well, this show is always always evolving, Fred. And this is, I don't believe in most forms of evolution, but this show has evolved over the years. That's for sure. You know what, Fred?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I don't like talking about marijuana and whatnot, but why did God put it on the earth then?
Well, why did he put poison mushrooms on the earth?
So we wouldn't eat them.
Okay.
I'm just curious because this is Jesus calling, and I'm coming to get you. What is going on?
Yes.
It's called cloning. We're experimenting with cloning.
Is that a kick can? You like kicks?
Okay, Fred, what do you got there?
Indiana teacher banned from classroom because of faith. A substitute teacher in the South Bend School District, because of religious beliefs, was stripped of his right to be a substitute teacher.
How come?
Well, South Bend Corporation, the community corporation, admits his religious beliefs were part of the reason why he was blacklisted as a substitute. But then Helen also failed to implement a study program and control classrooms.
That's amazing. Could you boil that down to common English for us, Fred?
Well, that's what happened there. Lawsuit Helen filed against Eau Claire schools has been unsuccessful so far, but the deposed teacher will vows he will amend his case all the way to the Supreme Court.
Huh. I wonder why. Well, you know, Fred, I'll tell you. I've seen many things in my life, Fred, but I've never seen anything like that. And what do you think we ought to do about it?
Well, I think we ought to wake up. And incidentally, tomorrow night at Knights of Columbus Hall on Thomas Drive, we're going to be showing a picture or a video that was produced by Brother Diamond.
Huh.
And it's going to be on the New World Order.
Well, I bet that'll be interesting.
It is very interesting.
Okay, Fred, you know, we're talking about Tennessee Williams there earlier. In 1983, playwright Tennessee Williams was found dead in his New York hotel suite. And earlier, I was going to tell you that back in 1870 on this date, Hiram R. Revels, Republican from Mississippi, became the first black member of the U.S. Senate, as he was sworn in to serve out the unexpired term of Jefferson Davis. So in 1870, Fred, to be a black Republican wasn't that big of a deal. I'm glad to see that the blacks are coming back to their home base and becoming Republicans in thousands and thousands of numbers, Fred, including people like J.C. Watt, and even people like Jesse Jackson are having private conversations with Newt Gingrich to see how they can get off the welfare plantation and come into the 20th century before it turns into the 21st.
I don't know if he's ever going to make it. He hasn't really done any work since he came into this world, I don't think.
Well, I think the middle and upper middle class blacks are finally seeing through all that baloney, Fred.
Right.
And they're tired of listening to people like Jesse Jackson tell them just stay on the plantation, vote Democratic, and we'll give you your welfare check each month. I think they're tired of it, Fred. They want more out of this world and this life.
I know that some of them don't want it, is right.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Your last call of the night.
Yeah, I wanted to hear some views on masturbation and what you guys think about it.
Well, Fred, you've studied that area many, many years. What do you think?
I don't think it's very good to practice or indulge in.
Okay, this is the final call.
Hi there. Guess it's appropriate. I'm fine. Oh boy, I'm kind of scared with a couple kids in elementary school. I hope that isn't where teachers are headed. And to let you know, with marijuana, you guys are doing a good job. Nobody needs it. It shows we can have some healthy video on there, and they don't need to smoke that weed. But something quick, regarding that Leader Telegram article in there by Jerry Southworth, he had a statement a couple weeks ago that our FBI agent here locally that, boy, that guy is driving me nuts, and that was a quote. I'll tell you, I really wasn't impressed to hear an FBI agent say that. And I was just wondering if you guys think that they got the bomber, or you think he's out there and they're just grasping at straws. Have a good evening.
Okay, thanks. Well, like we said earlier, it's iffy there. There could be two of them. It seems like there was two different descriptions of the bomber and two different descriptions of this armed robber, and they ended up arresting the one guy, but they still haven't come up with any concrete evidence to charge him with any of the bomb threats. And even if they do charge him with a couple, that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and if you're still out there, Mad Bomber, give yourself up. If you'd like to talk to Fred's number's in the phone book, and let's see if we can broker some kind of a surrender for you before things get out of hand. Otherwise, we got to say thank you very much for tuning into the program, and we'll see you again right here on the Old Cow Report next time.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Adios, amigos and amigettes. We'll see you next time. Good night.